Hi there. In this instructor game played in 1956 in the Eastern States Open Round 1, Bobby Fischer was playing against Attilio di Camillo. Let's have a look at this game. E4 from Bobby Fischer, and we see E5, knight F3, knight C6, the Roy Lopez. We see A6, bishop A4, knight F6, white castles B5, bishop drops back, D6 and now C3. This looks like fairly standard stuff. Bishop G4 is played. By the way, there's a little trap here. Knight takes E4. I hope you can spot what white would play in this position. If I give you 5 seconds. Yeah, bishop D5. Yeah, don't fall into this if you play with the black pieces. That wins a piece. Hitting both knights, forking the knights there. Okay, so bishop G4, we see H3, bishop H5, D3, bishop E7, knight BD2, black castles, rook E1, queen D7, and now a standard looking knight maneuver, knight F1, knight A5, the bishop goes back to C2, H6. The interesting thing about this structure is that white, when playing for D4, this can easily transition to a very favourable structure. You can imagine also the Roy Lopez bishop being liberated potentially on this diagonal if black concedes too much to the centre. We see a very interesting move actually in this position after the move H6. Fischer plays G4. Normally this kind of move is a bit risky, but here it's kind of justified. An alternative without using the G pawn, knight G3, bishop G6 is also, this is also interesting, D4. For example, this situation, white's getting a very favourable space advantage, it seems. After D5, it looks like, if ever C5, that's going to be a backward pawn to target, like a Benoni structure. And yeah, it just seems very, very favourable. So anyway, G4 was used though, and this is also very nice. After the knight G3, knight H7, we have knight F5. Very nice logical looking outpost being used there. And if black ever dares take, then the G file might be a very dangerous road to the black king. We see knight B7, now D4. And there is intense pressure on black's centre here. We see E takes. If you can imagine F6, there's potential for white to potentially play D takes here. So if D takes, queen takes, and the thing is, if that really is pinned, then knight takes E5 is also looking pretty good there. So we have the release of the central tension, and white's centre is looking very, very nice here, these two central pawns. We see knight D8, and white gets that dark square bishop. D5 is also a nice move. If bishop takes, for example, this is getting to be an exceptionally nice position for white with a big space advantage. Okay, so knight takes E7 though. We have queen takes D5, C5. So we do have a kind of Benoni structure. I know in the Benoni there's a fianchetto bishop, but we have this D6 issue. Black's got a pawn majority over here though to play with. Knight B7, bishop G3, rook Fe8, A4, queen F6, A takes, king G2. We see knight G5, knight takes, H takes, a pair of rooks come off. And now, yeah, just like the Benoni, this strategic break is important here. E5, it creates a potential pass pawn, very dangerous pass pawn, the D pawn. After bishop takes, queen takes, we have now, after D takes, a pass pawn emerging here. Bishop takes, we have queen D8, and now D6. Now a critical mistake, it seems, C4. Better would have been, as an example, it does seem as though it's possible that black could play knight takes. For example, queen takes, rook A6. And this situation, for example, like this, but white would end up better chasing after the B pawn, as an example. If we look at that again, if knight E8, again, just taking on B5, this is better for white. But C4 makes things worse. We have queen E4 tying black up now. We have knight C5. If knight takes D6, bishop takes, queen takes, the rook drops off. Slight issue there. So knight C5, we have queen C6, knight D3, rook E3, rook C8, queen B7. The queen has been harassed there for a moment and carries on being harassed. until this point, rook b6. And now d7, this pawn's looking very dangerous. After rook b7, which tries to cover things up and threatens that pawn at this moment, Fischer unleashes a crushing blow on move 40. Can you guess what that is? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay. It's bishop c7, yeah. Just in time before that pawn's eliminated. We see check, but now if rook takes c7, then rook e8 check would win the queen. So we see this check, but it's not very useful, this check, after king f1. The game ended here. If the game continued, say queen f6, then d8 protects the queen and queens, so that's just winning for white. So there's nothing really going on here for black up to this. If rook takes, yeah, we're just going to play rook e8 check and take off the queen. There's no backfire here to speak of. Sometimes we have to check for backfires. If you imagine a rook's there and we queen and it's not checked, then rook a1 would be a backfire because it would be like mating if the knight's controlling escape squares. But there's no backfire here. This is just winning very easily. So, okay, so the game ended here. An instructive game early on in Fischer's career. So the same year as the game of the century, Fischer's playing some excellent chess already, showing great versatility in the Royal Lepers. The philosophical point here is... I think about creating a passed pawn and being tactically accurate enough to exploit that passed pawn before it's eliminated. I think that's one of the key philosophical points and takeaways to take from this game. Okay. Thanks very much. Hi guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you want more Bobby Fischer content, check out my Kingscrusher TV page. And if you go to the bottom of it, it starts at the bottom with 1970 to 1992. I also have 2 other Bobby Fischer courses. I found him absolutely fascinating to study. So there's 1956 to 62 early in his career, and there's 1963 to 68. So I hope you find those interesting. You might want to check them out, all the free samples. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. Comments, questions, likes, shares, always appreciated. Thanks very much.